How much does a society value art? How important is it to society? How much does that society is willing to support the arts? And then what happens if a society ignores the arts and in fact does not help it grow and nurture it? These are questions that have been put to sharp focus over the last 6 months. And it is a difference between Denmark and the United States. Because the United States is taking away, appears to not really value art. And it does not support art. And it has been, over the last 6 months, taking away support. The National Public Broadcasting System has been defunded, which means that small radio stations in Alaska may go out of business. The Metropolitan Opera Company is losing federal funding and now is scurrying around. And what they had to do was they made a deal with Saudi Arabia to perform there 3 weeks every winter in exchange for $100 million over a period of time, which they said will keep them going so that with the lack of federal funding, they can weather the storm. But the Metropolitan Opera is one of the few that has that kind of star power that can weather the storm and reach out. And I question whether we want our art institutions supported by Saudi Arabia. Now, I am not a Middle East scholar, but I do know that they have had issues with human rights. Yes, they have. And they're also doing things to soccer and other things. So I would prefer that someone like the Metropolitan Opera does not have to rely on making a deal with someone who could then influence an institution like that. But that's the lucky one. When I talk to Danish girlfriend, she says, no, the Danish government goes out of its way. And there are foundations in Denmark that go out of their way to support Danish art and Danish art that will work in Denmark. And it's a way of nurturing it. It's a way of keeping the cost down because the people in Denmark can go to the National Opera because the National Opera does not have to charge exorbitant prices and does not have to fundraise. It is affordable, and that is what the art is. It is important for the culture of any country. I mean, I looked it up. They have national funding. They have private funding. And that means that art is accessible. It's not just a status symbol or left to the purvey of the rich and the powerful who want to use it for whatever they want. If people do not have the chance and the opportunity to create art, to be creative, to put new ideas out there for a society and a community, that community will stop thinking. It will stop feeling. Denmark has made it a point to help nurture, create, support this creative environment so that we're not just run by corporations like CNN who's just going to pound us with fear-mongering to get us to watch things and then to sell us things. Art should not just be a vehicle to be peddling merchandise. It's also, and this is what the Danish people and the Danish government, that's what I get from Danish girlfriend, is Denmark wants to support its own identity. And you do that by allowing art to be created by the people in Denmark for the people of Denmark. And then it's out there that the rest of the world will say, hey, that's Denmark. I am wondering what the rest of the world, when they look at the United States with our withering funding of programs to benefit the intellectual curiosity of people, and particularly children, because that's when they need it, what do they think? And if in fact this goes through and we start to allow our artists and our art institutions to wither before they can grow and take hold, what kind of country are we going to be? Well, we probably are starting to get what we deserve. Full of conspiracy theories, people telling fake truths, have lies, and no one can start to think for themselves and by themselves. And that is what the art does. It is the basis of a liberal arts education, is that you start to see things differently. You are prodded to see things differently. And if we're not, we're just going to hear things and see things as the same. The United States needs art, and I am grateful for Danish Girlfriend and for Denmark for pointing out what is the point of supporting the arts and how it can enrich a country. And I only can hope that this country, this United States, where I grew up watching public television, will start to realize and say, we need this. It is part of our identity to let our artists create and let our artists force us to think. Because if we stop thinking, we no longer are really a country. Thank you kindly.